I just have to show you my new Kindle case because it's the cutest thing I've ever seen. It says fairy porn because that's all I read. Hi, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Michaela and I love to read and talk about books. Today is an exciting video because I'm going to dive into the world of Miss Sarah J. Maas. Like many of other book talkers, Miss Sarah J. Maas is what got me back into reading, reignited my love for reading, and really brought me back into whimsy and why I love fantasy books and movies and such. I'm also wearing my Manon Blackbeak hat because that's my girl and I want to be here and I want to be with her. For this video, I'm going to be going over my recommended reading list. I'm also going to go over the news that was discussed on the Call Her Daddy podcast with Miss Sarah J. Maas herself. And I'm also going to go over my theories, my thoughts for the next ACOTAR 6 and 7 book. Mind you, there will be spoilers in this video, so if you haven't read Sarah J. Maas at all, specifically ACOTAR, there's going to be spoilers, but I'll give you, a heads up when those spoilers are coming. Now, if you have no idea who Sarah J. Maas is, she is a fantasy romantasy author and she currently has 3 series out. It is ACOTAR, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses. She also has her Throne of Glass series and she also has Crescent City. Now, for the reading order, again, this is just what I recommend. You are able to read this however you want. However, the recommendation that I'm giving is so you don't get spoiled and you can enjoy your reading experience. So the series that I would recommend you starting with is her ACOTAR series. It is a 5-book series currently. However, in October, we will be getting the 6th book, and in January, we'll be getting the 7th book. So aren't they beautiful colors? If you haven't read the series, I'll just give you a brief synopsis. So we start off with ACOTAR, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses. It is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. We follow our FMC favorite Archeron, who is a mortal girl, basically living in poverty. And she is hunting to help take care of her father and her 2 sisters. And while in the forest, she shoots a massive wolf. She finds out that the wolf was actually a fae, and killing fae in her world is a crime. So she either gets, or she has to come with the fae and live, in the fae world permanently. And that's essentially where the story takes off. This is one of my favorite fantasy books of all time. Also, there will be no slander on books on my page. If you have anything negative to say, you can please see yourself out. You will be blocked. At the end of the day, reading is an escape and we're all trying to escape the realities of this world. So let people enjoy what they want to enjoy. Thank you so much. I have started my reread journey. So I'm starting to tab ACOTAR. I've already been tabbing A Court of Mist and Fury, but I need to fix my tabs, but look, they're color coordinated. I'm listening to these on graphic audio, which I highly recommend you do because it helps with the world building. It also helps with all of the characters that you meet, and it makes the story so much more fun and interactive and immersive. And yeah, it's also making the reread so much funner because I'm forgetting little bits of the story, but then I'm remembering and re-listening to some of my favorite bits of the story. So yes, one of my favorite books of all time. I didn't claim to not be basic. When you finish reading ACOTAR, which is a more romance-focused fantasy, you're going to step into the next series, which is Throne of Glass. I love Throne of Glass. That's who Manon Blackbeak is. Series is hefty. This series is complete, allegedly, but SGM always teases that her worlds are never fully done, so there could potentially be more books in the series, but we've been waiting for forever, so, don't hold your breath. And if you haven't read the series, I'll give you a brief synopsis. So in this series, we follow our FMC Selena Sardathian, who is a slave in salt mines. She gets sent to the kingdom where she gets faced with the Crown Prince of Ardalan, Mr. Dorian Havillard, and she essentially is tasked to be an assassin. This assassin will then protect the king, but it is kind of a competition to see who the best assassin is. And that's essentially where our story begins. And you get a lot of trauma, you get a lot of love, you get a lot of laughs in this series, but oh my god, if you ever want to feel like a badass, Selena Sardathian. Also, Manon Blackbeak is from this series, and Manon and Selena are some of my favorite characters. Talk about badass FMCs that make you feel like you can accomplish anything. Also, there is a lot of controversy back and forth on when you should read Assassin's Blade in the series. Technically, this book happens before everything else, so I will say, if you are going into Throne of Glass completely blind, no spoilers, you have no idea what's going on, I think it's okay to read it first. However, I think the best way to feel every emotion and get the emotional impact that Sarah J. Maas wants you to read, also her recommended reading order, read Throne of Glass first, and then Crown of Midnight, and then Assassin's Blade. Because what happens in Assassin's Blade is mentioned throughout the series, but you really feel the emotional impact that happens in Assassin's Blade in these books when you read it after the first two. Don't come at me. Don't come at me. This is my preferred reading order, and Sarah J. Maas's preferred reading order, so. And then finally, after reading ACOTAR and Throne of Glass, you are ready to dive into Crescent City. I'm currently in my Crescent City reading era. I'm about 60% into the second book, and I am loving it. Oh my god. Yeah, she's a chunk. Listen to it on graphic audio, because graphic audio really helps you, again, get immersed into the world, helps you with the world building, helps you identify characters, and also so many characters are introduced in this book that it's overwhelming for me. So listening to the audiobook and having the differentiating narrators so I can, you know, separate the characters and learn about the world building, learn about the magic systems, highly recommend graphic audio. How many times can I say that? Again, if you haven't read the series, I will give you a brief synopsis. So, in Crescent City, we follow our FMC, Miss Bryce Quinlan, who is half mortal, half fae. And she lives in the world of Crescent City. She and her best friend, Danica, are silly, goofy party girls. And they have the reputation of just having fun, living their life to the fullest, being reckless, blah, blah, blah. A murder mystery happens right at the beginning of the book, and Bryce was the only survivor of that tragedy. Forward a few years later, she is not thriving like she was in the past, and she gets teamed up with Hunt, who is a fallen angel, and they are essentially assigned to help figure out who caused the crime, solving the mystery essentially. And oh my god, you guys, the world building in this book, it is set in like modern day, but it's fae, and not just fae. It's like magical creatures all over, mermaids, witches, werewolves, wolf shifters, you name it. It's in this book. Look how stunning the covers are. Like, are you kidding me? Okay. Now that we've gone over our preferred reading list, this is now the part of the video where we will dive into discussing ACOTAR 6 and ACOTAR 7. Again, there will be spoilers, so if you haven't read ACOTAR, I recommend pausing, skipping this video, saving it for later, coming back. Let's dive into it. So, like all of you, I'm sure you all were so excited about Sarah J. Maas joining Call Her Daddy podcast and just hearing an inkling anything to do with ACOTAR, because we've been waiting, what, 5-6 years now for the next book, and oh, I'm ready. So in the Call Her Daddy podcast, Sarah J. Maas announced that we will be getting ACOTAR 6 and ACOTAR 7. ACOTAR 6 we will be getting in October. ACOTAR 7 we'll be getting in January. Imagine we'll be getting book 8, which is the third completion of like that set of books, later on next year. She hasn't announced it obviously, but we're thankful for what we have now. I didn't realize my Alani was back there. This is what I'm drinking. It is the lime slush flavor, which I've never tried before, but it is so good. It's basically a lime green Skittle, if you like the Skittles flavors. So in the podcast, of course, she discussed ACOTAR 6 and ACOTAR 7. And if you missed it, I'll just give you brief updates on like what she was informing us in the interview. In the next ACOTAR book, Sarah was basically trying to fit together one massive book. She was trying to put together one massive book because there is a huge redemption arc or a huge character arc that she was working on. And when she sent it to editors, they said that she had to cut it down a ton because she said it was well over 1,000 pages or something ridiculous. And so she said, instead of cutting down the book, which she wanted the story to be told, as she should, she's going to split it up into 3 parts. If you're familiar with her writing style, she is known to split her books into different parts. So like for instance, part 2. She's known to split her books up into different parts, you know, to signify different parts of the story. Instead of doing that in one book, she is going to do it in 3 separate books. So I believe the first book is going to be around 350 pages, and I think that's part 1 and 2, if I'm not mistaken. The next book that we're getting in January, I believe, is like 900 pages or something insane, and that's going to have, I don't even know how many parts in that one, and then we don't know about the next book, but more than I thought we were going to get. I thought we were just going to get the next book and that was it, and I was fine with it. I just wanted an update. And of course, Sarah J. Maas was talking a lot about her personal journey and, you know, some of the harder parts that happened in the ACOTAR series, specifically Nesta. I am a Nesta stan. I gravitate towards the characters who are prickly, who are mean, because 10 times out of 10, those characters are hurting and grieving so hard on the inside that the only way that they know how to express how they're feeling is to lash out at the people that they love, and that's pretty much Nesta. That type of person, you know, it's really hard to open up for me with new people, and I tend to lash out a lot at the people that I love, which is not okay. I've healed, I've grown from it, but Nesta, and reading a story like Nesta's and seeing the character growth that she went through, ooh, I'm gonna tear up, was a very emotional journey for me. Ooh! We found in the interview that she did with Alex that she was a Nesta as well. And in writing Nesta's journey, Sarah was also going through a lot of mental illness challenges and just like challenges in her life and everything. And I just feel so much deeper of a connection with Nesta and also Sarah as an author, because for those of you who don't like Nesta, please give her another chance, because as somebody who relates so heavily to her, seeing people hate on her and hating her online and saying that she's not a redeemable character and stuff kind of digs, because I don't think I've ever felt so seen in a character than I have with Nesta. So it kind of feels like a personal attack, not gonna lie. Again, you're entitled to your own feelings. You're entitled to your own opinions. Just give Nesta a chance. And hopefully hearing Sarah, you know, claim this is Nesta's redemption arc, but obviously there's so much growth that needs to happen, and this is just the start. So hopefully we'll see more of Nesta and her growth and her journey, but that was something that I was very happy to see her discuss, because I think it's so important. There's so many people who hate on Nesta, and as somebody who relates so much to her, I took offense to that. But let's get into what I think / hope happens in the next books. I am not a big theory person. I'm more of, I pick up on little things, and if I read it and it happens in the book, I'm like, oh my gosh, I called that. But I'm not like a big theory person, so just putting that out there. I'm not gonna have any like wild like conspiracies that I think is gonna happen, that I, you know, keep that in mind. My first thoughts on what is going to happen in the next book is, I think we're actually going to get triple POV, meaning Azriel's point of view, Lucian's point of view, and Elaine's point of view, because really we don't know enough about the 3. More so Azriel, we know nothing besides, you know, him being Spy Master. He's so quiet and mysterious. Because if you don't know, I'm an Azriel girl, so I'm very, very excited for this next book, because I just know in my gut it's gonna be Azriel's book. Or at least have his point of view. Like, I need it. I'm one of those girls that I don't personally mind who Azriel ends up with. I just want him to be happy, and I just want his book so bad. You're not even ready for the monster that I'm going to become when Azriel's book comes out. Just fair warning. I'm going to be insufferable on all of my socials, so fair warning. Or if you want to follow and be feral with me, that's welcome as well. What I kind of want to happen, or what would be fun to see, is definitely a love triangle between Elaine, Lucian, and Azriel. At the same time, I love Lucian and I love Azriel, and I want them both to be okay, but I just feel like the pining and the yearning from both of them will be so good. And I kind of need that forbidden love aspect at the end, you know, of Court of Silver Flames, you know, Rhysand and Azriel had their little beef where basically Rhysand tells Azriel to stay away from Elaine because she's Lucian's mate. And Sarah J. Maas confirmed that, you know, there's different mates, which you kind of learn that more in Crescent City, which I won't spoil that if you haven't read it yet because I'm still finishing it as well. But you find out that there's different types of mates within Crescent City, and Sarah J. Maas confirmed it when she said, you know, sometimes nature gets it wrong. There's true mates, and then sometimes nature gets it wrong. And what if the meeting bond between Elaine and Lucian is wrong? Like, what if it's incorrect and she's fighting against it? Again, I just want Azriel. I want Azriel to be happy, but there's something about that forbidden romance that I think would be so much fun to explore in the book, because we really haven't gotten forbidden romance in Sarah J. Maas, I feel like. This is like the one theory that I'm like, this would be really cool if this were true, but I also don't know enough, but it would be neat. There's some people that are theorizing that Azriel's mate is actually Rhysand's sister, and that would be so interesting if that were to be true. And also, how would we explore that? How would we explore that? It would be really interesting to know. I also think that we might get a little bit of a redemption arc from Tamlin. In the interview, Sarah claimed that she doesn't think that Tamlin is going to get like his own book or anything, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're not going to see some character growth within him. Got a little sprinkle of him caring enough about Feyre in ACOTAR. That was enough for me to give Tamlin some grace, because at the end of the day, Tamlin was also under the mountain with Amarantha, just like Rhysand, just like Feyre. And I think he also, you know, suffers from like PTSD, or, you know, he handled his stress and his trauma in a very unhealthy way. And I think that he has room to be explored and to be given a little bit of a redemption. Now, I don't want anything crazy. Like, I personally don't really want a book of just Tamlin. He just reminds me of my toxic ex, which is, you know, a common thing for girls who have read the books. He just reminds me so much of my toxic ex, and I wouldn't want to read a book about my toxic ex, so why would I want to read a whole book about Tamlin? However, I could see him having redeeming qualities, and I'm interested in seeing how that plays out. My little Elaine. There is no Elaine hate on my page. I think Elaine is misunderstood, just like I thought Nesta was misunderstood. Elaine, just like Nesta, was thrown into this world against her will. She did not want to become a fae. She was engaged to somebody that she loved in her human world, and she was happy. She was turned into fae against her will, just like Nesta was. And when Elaine tried to go talk to her fiance, he wanted nothing to do with her because, you know, fae and humans hate each other. And that would be so painful and detrimental to have like your life planned with somebody that you love, it taken away from you completely, and now you're being thrown into the fae world and you're basically not held captive, but like feeling trapped within the castle. So I feel for Elaine. Also, let's not forget, Elaine is a seer. Elaine is a seer. And seers in like the fantasy world typically kind of lose their mind a little bit, which I'm curious to see how that'll play out in like powers and, you know, exploring more of like her abilities. And I do want to see more of Nesta as well, because I feel like Nesta, there's still more to happen with Nesta and Cassian, of course. So people who say that Nesta and Cassian aren't mates, get out of here. Sarah J. Maas confirmed Nesta and Cassian are true mates, just like Feyre and Rhysand are true mates, so get out of here. Theory that I want thrown out into the streets is the fact that Rhysand is evil or Rhysand's a villain. Absolutely not. Rhysand is my favorite character in all of ACOTAR. He is so morally gray, but he is such a good character, and just watching his growth throughout the series, I feel so connected and protective of him. And people who say that he's going to be a villain, get out. Sarah has confirmed that there will be a betrayal within the inner circle. The more I've thought about it, I really don't think it's gonna be more. Like, I just feel like that would be way too predictable. Who I'm leaning towards more so, who I'm leaning towards more, I'm actually thinking it's gonna be Elaine. And I'm thinking it has something to do with her seer ability because, like I said, seers typically in like the fantasy world, they kind of lose their mind because there's so much power and there's so much that comes with being a seer that it kind of alters like your reality with like, you know, whatever you're seeing, past, present, future, whatever it is. And what if it kind of takes her on like a crazy path and then she's the one that ultimately betrays in the inner circle? Because currently in ACOTAR, she's working with Rhysand's like spies. So what if she's the one that betrays? I don't know. Again, I'm open to theories, but that's like a theory that I'm like, something about Elaine. Like Elaine has to have way more of a storyline than people give her credit for because we don't know anything about her. People saying that Elaine and Tamlin are mates. Jail. Why? I kind of think that Tamlin and Amarantha were mates and Tamlin was rejecting the mating bond, but I also think that Mor and Emery are mates and I really want to see more of them together because I think they would be really sweet. Emery is so cool and she's so underrated and she did not get enough storyline. None of the Valkyries did. Gwen, none of the Valkyries did, and I want to see more of that because I love girls who kind of become like a found family sister group, and I love that for Nesta, and I'm really curious to see like how that'll continue to play on. Gwen. I wouldn't mind Gwen and Azriel. I wouldn't. But something in me is saying that I'm leaning more towards Azriel and Elaine, and that might be just me being like basic and just holding off for like the cliche, the three sisters, three brothers thing. Elaine is so soft and gentle and to herself, and Azriel is like, we don't know enough about him, but he's so quiet and he's also kind of gentle as well, but he's very protective, and I think Elaine needs that. So he's the only one that she was talking to, you know, throughout the series. Him saving her in ACOTAR, him saving her, I will not get over that. Elaine and Azriel remind me of Francesca and John from Bridgerton, where their love is just so quiet and gentle and peaceful, but they're so like entwined with each other, like they know what each other's thinking. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's the vibe that Azriel and Elaine give me, and I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it. I love Gwen as a character. I would love to see more of her. Again, I would love to see more of the Valkyrie, and I really would like to see her and Azriel's banter a little bit. The whole concept of like Azriel's shadows sing to her, that's really sweet and romantic, but like what does that mean? Also, going back to Mor, I want to know what the hell her powers mean. What do you mean her power is truth? What does that mean? Does she not have the ability to lie? Also, another theory, sorry, I keep going all over the place just because I'm thinking of them like as I'm like talking about them, but the theory that Mor, it's like the evil Mor theory, where Mor is the one that's going to betray the circle, which I'm like, I feel like that's too predictable. Mor is going to betray the inner circle, and Azriel knows that she's lying, or Azriel knows something about her, and that's why he's so like watching her. Like it looks like he's in love with her and pining after her, but really he's just like watching her, which would be a really interesting concept, because then what do they know? You know, a lot of questions, a lot of excitement. Again, at the end of the day, we read to escape the realities of the world, and don't we need to escape the reality of the world right now? Let people read what they want to read. If you don't agree, scroll. If you don't agree, block. I am not afraid to block somebody for saying something mean to me or trying to start an argument in my comments over a book that they don't like or characters that they don't like, because hey, you're not going to disrupt my inner peace. A lot of exciting stuff, lots of stuff to look forward to. I'm so happy that we're finally getting news and ACOTAR books, and you know, I'm excited to reread and get back into the world of Prythian. I missed it so much, and I'm excited to see where the storyline takes us, because if you read Sarah J. Maas, she always ties everything together, and I'm very excited to see how this storyline is going to work. Excited to see more of Azriel, because that's my man. I love him. Excited to see more of Lucian, because bless him, his little heart, bless him. Excited to learn more about Elaine. I really need to see more of Nesta and Cassian because I love Nesta and Cassian. They're my favorite couple in ACOTAR. Rhysand is my favorite character in ACOTAR. I love Rhysand. He was my first book boyfriend, my first real book boyfriend, I guess. And I just feel so protective of him and so nostalgic of him. So I'm excited to see him again. I'm excited for him to make me giggle and kick my feet and be the most beautiful High Lord that's ever existed, the most powerful High Lord that's ever existed. And yeah, I'm so excited to see what happens. If you like this video, please comment, subscribe, like, do all of the things. Sound off in the comments below what you're most excited about, what your theories are for the books. I'd love to hear them. And again, if you don't like Sarah J. Maas or what I'm talking about, see yourself out. Do not put yourself in the comments. I don't care. And thank you so much for watching my video, and I will see you on the next one.